Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. The multicolored liquid wrapped firmly around Xiao Yan, repeatedly entering his pores and wounds and flowing into Xiao Yang's body. This liquid, that was the merger of a countless number of medicinal pills and medicinal ingredients, flowed into Xiao Yang's body. Finally, it flowed thread by thread into every single part of his body. Following their invasion, the chi paths, bones, and blood, which were originally about to be completely destroyed strangely, but slowly emitted a faint glow. Moreover, they became just like a little tree, which had encountered rain during spring, allowing them to grow tenaciously once again. The vitality that suddenly rose within Xiao Yang's body once again attracted the attention of the fallen heart flame. The green glow flashed immediately, and the heart flame, which filled the interior of Xiao Yang's body once again, erupted with frightening temperature. The high temperature that suddenly erupted caused his chi paths, bones, blood, muscles, etc., which had just regained some life, to once again shrivel. However, where that colorful and incomparably powerful liquid continued to flow past, life strangely appeared once again. The heart flame repeatedly destroyed, while the colorful liquid repeatedly healed. These two things appeared to have engaged in a tug of war in Xiao Yang's body. Each time the heart flame incinerated a chi paths, bone, muscle, etc. until it was about to break apart, the strange liquid would immediately invade it until it emitted a sign of life. This process would subsequently be repeated. The cycle appeared to be endless. The intense pain that this kind of tug of war created was something that basically no one could endure. It was fortunate that at this very moment, Xiao Yang had entered a pseudo-death state due to his imminent death. Hence, he did not feel any of this intensely inhuman pain. Otherwise, even if the strange liquid, which was the mixture of various different things, healed his body, he was likely to be tortured into a lunatic under this kind of intense pain. Therefore, in a cluster of somewhat invisible whitish flame deep within the vast magma, was a naked man and woman. Each of them were experiencing their own kind of slow, but immense transformation. Such a transformation was extremely slow. No one knew just how long it would last. Perhaps a month, perhaps half a year, perhaps a year, perhaps even longer. However, there was one point that one did not need to doubt. If they were able to endure this transformation and eventually wake up from it, they would truly be completely transformed. The transformation was slowly progressing. Without anyone realizing it, an entire year had passed since that soul-stirring battle had happened within the Inner Academy. During this 1 year, the Inner Academy, which had basically been turned into ruins during the great battle back then, was completely transformed. In the 1 year, there were old students who had left and more new students that had arrived. The entire Inner Academy was still filled with vitality. Every day, there were a countless number of students who shed perspiration like rain as they worked hard to obtain the glory of the strong ranking. As time flowed past one's fingers, there would occasionally be someone who would throw their gaze toward the blazing sky chi refining tower that stood at the corner of the Inner Academy. In this 1 year, the lute had turned red and the plantain had turned green. During this 1 year, the speed at which the Inner Academy absorbed new students had become much faster than previous years, perhaps due to their intention to raise the competitiveness. New students were easily arrogant. This arrogance was bred until it became more intense, especially after they had obtained some results. However, no matter how wild and arrogant the new student factions were, they still did not have the slightest courage to provoke a faction, which had currently grown into an enormous being. This was because this faction was called Pan's Gate. Its founder was the young man who had rescued the entire Inner Academy back then. His name was something that was extremely familiar in everyone's mouth, even now. Xiao Yang. A large cluster of somewhat white-colored flame was slowly drifting deep within the magma. That cluster of white color was extremely eye-catching in this magma world that was filled with a bright redness. Only by taking a more detailed glance and a closer look would one be able to discover that there appeared to be two faintly naked bodies within the cluster of white-colored flame. I am still alive. An extremely faint muttering voice quietly sounded in this dark black world. Everywhere he saw was still the bright redness in his memory and the cluster of flame which he had once feared the most. However, having awoken or perhaps recovered from the endless darkness, the chi paths which had become distorted and dry before he had lost consciousness were just like numerous crystal clear spacious pipes that were emitting a faint fluorescent light. Xiao Yang's mind shifted away from his chi paths and slowly swept across his entire body. Xiao Yang's mind moved abruptly and instantly appeared inside the vortex. His entire being suddenly became dull as he watched the completely empty vortex. Where is the Do crystal? Where is the Do Qi? His face, which had just regained some sleek blood-red color, once again turned pale white. Having once experienced life without Do Qi, he clearly understood just what kind of frightening blow it was to lose his Do Qi. At the moment when Xiao Yang's mind was in a trance, because of the strange disappearance of his Do Qi, a rumbling sound was suddenly emitted from within his body. He was immediately extremely stunned to see a flood-like powerful Do Qi suddenly surging out from every part of his body before flowing into the crystal-like Qi paths. The crystal clear, almost transparent veins appeared to have long since built a dam allowing the surging Do Qi to flow and fill them. The veins shrank and expanded, emitting a kind of joyous cry that could not be heard. This Do Qi, the young man blinked his eyes. Having recovered his alertness, he seemed to faintly understand something. His mind withdrew from his body. He slowly spread his palm before suddenly tightening it. When he clenched his palm, the space in front of him suddenly fluctuated. A cluster of fiery red energy surfaced in a strange manner before appearing on his palm. An unusual glow was flickering in the young man's dark black eyes. Green-colored flame wings suddenly shot out from his back. They had an arc that was over 10 feet in radius and appeared just like the wings of a phoenix, looking both gorgeous and stunning. Do Qi transformation into wings. Xiao Yang tilted his head slightly. His eyes studied the green-colored flame wings that extended out of his back. He did not use any flying Do techniques, nor did he use any secret technique. Additionally, he did not need to borrow anyone's strength. He had completely relied on himself to display this Do Qi transformation into wings. His expression appeared somewhat absent-minded. The green flame shone on his delicate and handsome face, which currently displayed an additionally maturity. Teacher, looks like fate has not cut off us. Teacher and disciple. Xiao Yang lowered his head and rubbed the dark black ring on his finger as he softly laughed. Xiao Yang's gaze drifted over his fingers before his hand suddenly stilled. He immediately muttered uncertainly, the storage ring has disappeared. Xiao Yang's eyes swept across the heavy Xian ruler, a couple of scrolls and some other things in front of him. He realized that all the medicinal pills and medicinal ingredients within the storage ring seemed to have disappeared. Xiao Yang was temporarily not bothered by all these things. He threw his gaze toward the other side. At that spot, a completely naked bewitching beauty had her eyes shut. Looks like Queen Medusa has gained the upper hand in this merger of spirits. However, they are originally one. The heaven-swallowing python was born because of her while she lives, because of the heaven-swallowing python. Xiao Yang felt some hesitation as he watched the extremely smooth merger of Queen Medusa. Finally, he abandoned the thought. This woman might be temperamental, but she might be of some help to him in the future. If it was in the past, Xiao Yang would naturally be extremely afraid of her when Yao Lao falls into a slumber. Now, however, with the great increase in his strength, Xiao Yang already possessed the ability to protect himself. Even with Queen Medusa's strength, it would no longer be as easy to kill him as in the past, where killing him was as simple as killing an ant. This was the gap between a Do Wang and Do Ling. In the eyes of a truly strong person, only someone who had reached the Do Wang class could be called strong. Everyone below a Do Wang was an ant. These words were not a lie. The fallen heart flame suddenly quivered just as Xiao Yang was musing. Immediately, a pair of faint green glows slowly surfaced. A furious hiss immediately sounded when that pair of green glows swept toward the lively Xiao Yang. The glow immediately intensified and a cluster of intense heart flame once again surfaced strangely in Xiao Yang's heart, before engaging in willful destruction. Xiao Yang's expression also changed a little the moment that the heart flame surfaced within his body. On the premise that he was nearly killed by the fallen heart flame, he was currently also extremely afraid of the heart flame. However, while he was hurriedly maneuvering his Do Qi in preparation to suppress the heart flame, he was stunned to realize that despite the cluster of heart flame going all out to unleash a frightening high temperature, it did not cause Xiao Yang any of the expected destruction or intense pain. Instead, it caused his body to be filled with a warm feeling. Xiao Yang rubbed his black hair, which had regrown. His face was at a loss Don't tell me that I have become accustomed to being burned. The fallen heart flame immediately appeared to have been angered, as it emitted a sharp ear-piercing hiss sound after it seemed to have sensed the killing intent that slowly seeped out from Xiao Yang's body. That drifting faint green glow had become much denser. Xiao Yang stretched his body lazily and raised his head toward the green glow. He laughed. What? Aren't you satisfied after burning me for so long? Moreover, the fallen heart flame had once again summoned fierce and intense heart flames within Xiao Yang's body aside from the vigorous exterior attack. From the looks of the situation, it clearly wanted to completely finish off this stubborn Xiao Yang through attacks from both within and outside. These tactics again, Xiao Yang smiled and shook his head as he watched the invisible flame that came swarming over. With a flick of his finger, a green-colored flame that was many times more powerful than before suddenly surged out from his body and blocked all the invisible flames, keeping them away. After that long deep slumber, Xiao Yang was naturally unaware of all the things that had happened within his body. That strange liquid that was mixed from the green lotus, the countless number of medicinal ingredients and medicinal pills, not only managed to heal and strengthen Xiao Yang's terribly damaged body during the fight with the heart flame. This was Xiao Yang's greatest support when engaging in a counterattack with the fallen heart flame. The flame around Xiao Yang's body burned intensely, unleashing a frightening temperature. The naked young man within revealed a warm smile. It was difficult to imagine that he had once suffered a fate worse than death while being grilled by this kind of flame before he had awakened. Xiao Yang finally released the heavy weight within his heart as he sensed the heart flame becoming gradually weaker after being exposed to this strange fluorescent light. Although he was uncertain about what kind of strange things had happened while he was in his deep slumber, he understood one thing: the fallen heart flame was something that was no longer frightening to him. Stubborn fellow, Xiao Yang laughed coldly when he saw this intense retaliation by the fallen heart flame. With the movement of a hand seal, the green-colored flame, which was lingering around his body, suddenly shrank swiftly into it. With the retreat of the green fire, the invisible flame, which was surrounding it on the outside, came pouncing over like ravenous wolves. The small snake also appeared to have discovered Xiao Yang while the latter was watching it. A fierce glow immediately rose in the snake's eyes. Waves of frighteningly invisible flame slowly rose from its body. Is this where the essence of the fallen heart flame is located? Xiao Yang's eyes blinked slowly as he let out a soft laugh. Although the large cluster of flame around him appeared to be the fallen heart flame, he must find the core position if he wanted to break through. That little fire snake was where this core was located. As long as Xiao Yang captured it, he will have truly captured the fallen heart flame. Xiao Yang slowly extended his long hand. He lifted the corner of his mouth. An intense green flame wrapped firmly around it. The dense fluorescent light appeared after the wrapping of the flame, covering the green fire with another layer. Xiao Yang's hand was in the shape of a claw as it curled slightly. He smiled toward the spot where the little fire snake was hidden. Seeing Xiao Yang's smile, the little fire snake that could not be seen with the naked eye felt an ominous feeling. It swung its tail, and its tiny body shuttled in all directions in a lightning-like manner, attempting to use this to hide from Xiao Yang's gaze. Xiao Yang's body was quiet for a moment before it suddenly trembled. A substance-like afterimage remained on the spot while his figure appeared in front of the flame wall in a ghost-like manner. His fist that was wrapped by the green flame and the fluorescent light was violently extended, and it drilled into the wall. Immediately he clenched his fist, swiftly flashed and withdrew. Hiss! Xiao Yang's body was as fast as a ghost. In merely the blink of an eye, it had already rushed back to his original spot and completely merged with the afterimage that had yet to completely disappear. However, this time around, there was a small fire snake which was wildly struggling within his right hand that was wrapped by the fluorescent light. Sharp hissing sounds resounded repeatedly. The surrounding fire wall had also become much more illusory after the small fire snake had been captured. However, it did not break apart because of this. Xiao Yang's eyes carried a wild heat as he stared intently at the small, cream-white fire snake in his hand. Xiao Yang's gaze stared intently at the wildly struggling little fire snake within the fluorescent light. Or gradually surfaced in his eyes. He lowered his head to look at the dark black ring on his finger, as he muttered softly, "Teacher, protect this student to successfully refine its success, and failure will be determined by this." Xiao Yang must settle this fallen heart flame, if he wanted to escape from this vast magma. Xiao Yang did not hesitate after his voice sounded. His body sat down, and he crossed his legs while being suspended. The green-colored flame in his hand suddenly soared. Under the wild and violent incineration by the green flame, the small fire snake slowly sank. Finally, it followed Xiao Yang's hand and swarmed into his body. Xiao Yang's body instantly stiffened after the entry of the fallen heart flame. The true great battle was finally about to begin. If Xiao Yang was able to refine and swallow this second heavenly flame, it was likely that his strength would once again soar. That mysterious flame mantra would truly enter a matured stage. The benefits that Xiao Yang would gain from enduring this would be incomparable. The fallen heart flame immediately unleashed a frightening temperature the moment it entered Xiao Yang's body. Under this high temperature, Xiao Yang gradually became boiling hot, resulting in a searing pain despite having the protection of the strange fluorescent light and his heavenly flame. This essence of the fallen heart flame may not be large, but it took shape only after accumulating for a countless number of years. Therefore, its temperature was extraordinary at this moment. The fallen heart flame clearly still possessed its own awareness despite having been absorbed into Xiao Yang's body. Hence, it was crafty as it wiggled in all directions after being surrounded by Xiao Yang. The fallen heart flame did not give up despite being surrounded by the green flame. Instead, it began to struggle intensely, like an imprisoned beast. It repeatedly emitted a frightening temperature. Under that increasingly intense temperature, Xiao Yang's originally calm face slowly revealed some pain. At this moment the fallen heart flame already possessed its own will. Hence, Xiao Yang needed to remove its will if he wanted to swallow and refine it. Otherwise, swallowing it forcefully would only incur the resistance between the two kinds of heavenly flame. If they were to erupt at that time, Xiao Yang could suddenly hear a faint sound from the fallen heart flame during the erosion. Although he was uncertain what the specific wording of this sound was, the taste of begging for mercy was extremely clear. Begging for mercy, the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth was lifted in a dense and cold manner. He laughed coldly. Back then, why did I not see you showing mercy to us when you were refining teacher and me? If not for my good luck, it is likely that I would have been swallowed by you. Xiao Yang's mind moved after the voice sounded. The speed at which the green flames were delivered became increasingly swift and ferocious. The green fire was being cycled without knowing fatigue within the green fireball. That cluster of cream-white flame had also transformed to its current silent and peaceful state compared to its intense struggle and resistance of the past. This clearly indicated that the will of the fallen heart flame was gradually disappearing. A slight cracking sound suddenly appeared within the quiet body. Following the appearance of this sound, Xiao Yang's quiet mind also leaped violently. He turned toward the fallen heart flame wrapped by the layers of green flame. The current fallen heart flame appeared as though it had just been born, and did not possess the slightest offensive properties. Have we finally succeeded? Xiao Yang's mind awoke from the dormant-like state following the disappearance of the fallen heart flame consciousness. Although he did not exactly count the time, he could faintly feel that the erosion this time around had likely taken quite a bit of time. No matter how much time was consumed, it is far better than being trapped here forever, Xiao Yan comforted himself within his heart. His mind moved, and the green fireball that had wrapped around the fallen heart flame swiftly disappeared. That fallen heart flame was also suspended quietly. Its temperature was lowered such that Xiao Yang no longer felt a searing pain. Next, it should be the refinement. Xiao Yang smiled as he watched the cluster of fallen heart flame. His mind controlled the cluster of fallen heart flame, and slowly moved it into his veins. Xiao Yang once again woke up from his dormant state the moment the fallen heart flame was successfully refined. His mind was watching the fallen heart flame flowing within his chi paths. A joy slowly climbed from deep within his heart, before eventually causing a happy smile to appear on the young man's face. Xiao Yang was in no hurry to control its merger with the green lotus core flame, after having refined the fallen heart flame. He clearly understood that this step was the most important one in the practice of the flame mantra, and also the most dangerous step. Xiao Yang's gaze turned toward the bewitching beauty within the flame. The latter was still in a state where spirits were being merged. However, from looking at the increasingly substance-like spirit above her head, it was clear that she had already entered the final stage. Perhaps in only a short time, this Queen Medusa will have complete control over that body. At that time, she would truly make a complete transformation, and turn into an extremely powerful person of the Do Zone class. Xiao Yan's eyes carelessly swept over Queen Medusa's lovely, naked body before quickly shifting it away. This woman was entirely filled with a kind of unusual allure toward men. Even without moving, as was currently the case, she still caused a nefarious flame to leap within one's heart. The merger of the green lotus core flame and the fallen heart flame. If he managed to successfully merge these two different kinds of flame, Xiao Yang's strength would not only greatly soar, but the flame mantra would also evolve by leaps and bounds. At that time, Xiao Yang's fighting strength would once again make a great advancement. Following the appearance of the green lotus core flame, the originally quiet fallen heart flame had begun to seethe. The heavenly flames possessed an extremely great destructive strength. If two kinds of heavenly flame were to collide together. Next, let's begin the merger. Xiao Yang's mind ruthlessly inhaled a breath of non-existent air. He finally ceased hesitating. An order was issued from his mind. Following the issue of the order, the suppression on the two kinds of heavenly flames also disappeared. Xiao Yan carefully controlled the flame mantra, Do Qi, as he attempted to isolate the two kinds of flames. Despite this, however, the two heavenly flames, which had approached each other, also began to churn repeatedly like tidal waves. Finally, they appeared to be contesting with each other, repeatedly unleashing high temperatures. That manner was as though they wanted to defeat the other party. Waves of flame mantra, Do Qi repeatedly flowed and circulated within Xiao Yang's Qi paths before pouring into the vortex. After which, they intruded into the interior of the two heavenly flames. As it begun to merge, Xiao Yan watched that wisp of emerald-like dark green flame with wild joy. His heart began to leap intensely at this moment. Although this was an extremely small wisp of flame, it represented a good start. Moreover, it also meant that he did not take a wrong path. Moreover, the moment the two kinds of heavenly flame completely merged together, a kind of new flame would replace the green lotus core flame and the fallen heart flame. Of course, the type of flame that replaced them would naturally possess the special effects of both kinds of heavenly flame. Perhaps, it would even be more powerful. Xiao Yang's heart was filled with an anticipation for this new flame that had yet to be birthed. Jioma Empire, the west part of the capital. An extremely large manor was sitting at this spot. The style of the manor was extremely similar to the position that the Prima clan held in the Jioma Empire. A lady wearing a pale purple robe was standing elegantly by the side of a quiet and clear lake deep within the manor. "Are you thinking of that little fellow?" A teasing old voice suddenly sounded from behind her. The lady was startled as she hurriedly turned her head around. A faint flush surfaced on her face when she saw the smiling old man walking over. She spoke in a lovely annoyed voice, "Old Hai, you are teasing Ya Fei again." Hearing her address herself, this person was surprisingly Ya Fei, who possessed quite a deep relationship with Xiao Yang back then. Turning one's gaze to the blue-robed old man, his appearance was that of the battle companion of Xiao Yang back then. Ice Emperor, Hai Budong. Hai Budong smiled and walked closer. "I wonder how that little fellow has been. It has almost been 3 years since he left the Jioma Empire." Ya Fei nodded her head lightly before she smiled and said, "That fellow may appear to be harmless to both humans and animals, but he is actually extremely crafty. Old Hai need not be overly worried." "I am not worried. I think that fellow will live a more exciting life than anyone else." Hai Budong smiled. His expression immediately sank. "However, that fellow appears to hold his clan in great regard. Now, the Xiao clan has been chased by the Misty Cloud sect in the Jioma Empire, until they were like dogs that have lost their homes. If we had not quietly helped them, it is likely that all the Xiao clan members in the Jioma Empire would have completely disappeared." Ya Fei narrowed her bewitching peach blossom eyes as she laughed gently. Ya Fei had already gained actual power over the control of the Prima clan during these years. Other than Hai Budong, who was in front of her, Ya Fei knit her brows tightly and played with the flower in her hand. She muttered, "According to my investigation, I discovered that the Misty Cloud sect appears to be searching for something treasured by the members of the Xiao clan. What are they looking for? Don't tell me that the Xiao Yang is still in possession of something that could attract them." Hai Budong frowned and asked. Ya Fei's eyes flickered. A moment later, she shook her head slightly and softly laughed. "I am also not very certain. Perhaps it is a misconception, the Misty Cloud sect is now becoming stranger and stranger. It is rumored that Yun has already been temporarily stripped of her position of sect leader. Currently, the Misty Cloud sect is within the control of Yun Shan. This old man, who won't die, seems to be a little different from before. Hai Budong sighed again, as he voiced his thoughts. There has indeed been some changes. Their activity is currently becoming increasingly larger. I want to see how much longer they can be arrogant for. I have extremely great confidence in that little fellow. The next time he steps into this empire might well be the time when the Misty Cloud sect is turned upside down. Hai Budong raised his head as looked at the towering mountain peak, which penetrated the cloud, as he laughed in a strange manner. Moreover, I have a premonition that this day is not far away. The bright red world was still lifeless. This place was as quiet as a dead zone, with the exception of the sound emitted from the flow of magma. The merger of the two kinds of heavenly flames was extremely slow and took a long time. Have I succeeded? Xiao Yan's heart was startled as he studied the cluster of dark green flame. It was a long while later before he finally inhaled a deep breath of air. His heart immediately emitted a silent wild roar. How much had he given up for this day? How long had he waited for it? A sleek redness also surfaced within Xiao Yan's eyes on top of the loud roar within his heart. Moisture slowly invaded his eyes. Back then, he had been chased out of the Jioma Empire like a dog that had lost its home, before undergoing a long journey to the Jiunan Academy. Even at that moment when he had heard that his clan was destroyed, he still clenched his teeth and swallowed that humiliation within his heart. Was that endurance not because of this day? The roar within Xiao Yan's heart slowly disappeared. His agitated emotions gradually calmed down. He controlled the cluster of dark green flame with his mind before pouring it into that small acceptance spirit within the vortex. Xiao Yan only sighed in relief after the dark green flame was completely poured into the acceptance spirit. This second kind of flame was finally successfully refined by him. Xiao Yan cursed softly. Do Qi flowed wildly within his body in an attempt to suppress that nefarious flame. However, this flame was quite stubborn. I cannot control it any longer. Xiao Yan was panting like a bull as he stood up. His reasoning had finally been suppressed by his desire. Those bright red eyes swept in all directions, before suddenly stopping on a naked, lovely, bewitching beauty not far away. Xiao Yan's throat rolled. His face appeared to be burning as he slowly walked toward Queen Medusa, who had her eyes tightly shut. If Xiao Yan was awake, he would never dare to perform such profanity toward that temperamental Queen Medusa, even if he doubled his courage. At this moment, however, his mind was occupied by the nefarious flame, and had already completely forgotten the reason for him to be afraid. Xiao Yan took slow steps as he approached Queen Medusa. The latter appeared to have faintly sensed something. The spirit above her head had completely become calm. She suddenly opened her eyes, shooting a gaze that was filled with a dense, cold, killing intent toward Xiao Yan. Are you courting death? The spirit swiftly entered her body, and Queen Medusa's tightly shut eyes were instantly opened. Those bewitching long pupils were filled with killing intent, as she watched the approaching Xiao Yan, while she cried out sternly. Having lost his sense of reasoning at this moment, Xiao Yan simply let Queen Medusa's cry that was filled with killing intent fill his ears without listening. His face was flushed red, and his breathing was as heavy as a bull. Queen Medusa coldly watched Xiao Yan come increasingly closer. The next moment, a killing intent finally flashed past her eyes. With a wave of her delicate hand, an energy agglomerated and formed a red-colored dress on the surface of her body. After which a seven-colored pillar shot out from her finger, and heavily smashed into Xiao Yan's chest. In the end, however, it merely caused his body to become sluggish for a moment. Damn it! Queen Medusa was initially stunned as she watched the attack, which had suddenly become much weaker. She immediately came to an understanding. Due to her spirit having just completed the merger, she was unable to unleash even half of her previous strength. Hence, the current Queen Medusa was at her weakest moment. A low and deep roar was erupted from Xiao Yan's throat. Those bright red eyes carried a flame of desire as they stared at Queen Medusa's lovely body, which was enough to cause any man to go crazy. He waved his hand and a circle of dark green flame flashed, firmly tying Queen Medusa's hands. At this moment, Xiao Yan no longer had any intention of treating this lady nicely. He even completely ignored how Queen Medusa's jade-like wrists were being burned by the dark green flame until a red circle was formed. Xiao Yan stood in front of Queen Medusa. His expression was flush red as he looked down at the queen who had never gave him a nice look from above. Xiao Yan, if you dare to do that thing to me, this queen will definitely tear your body into 10,000 pieces once my strength recovers. Even at this moment, the arrogant Queen Medusa did not show the slightest softness. Her silver teeth were clenched while her tone was dense and cold. The current Xiao Yang naturally paid no heed to such a threat by Queen Medusa. His throat once again emitted a low, deep, wild roar. Immediately, the bright redness within his eyes grew wilder. With a leap his body became just like a savage, violent tiger that pressed Queen Medusa's lovely body under him. His hand danced around wildly as the clear sound of a dress being torn appeared in this magma world. An intimate act was being quietly performed within the blood-colored magma. Unfortunately, no one had the luck to witness it. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.